everyone. Welcome to Plants and Politics. I have an update to share about a few of Trump's Capitol terrorists. It's time for an episode of Where Are They Now?
Matthew Bledsoe was arrested.
Patrick Montgomery was in court.
Jonathan Manapa will stay in federal custody.
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
So federal investigators filed a superseding indictment against one of Trump's Capitol terrorists, and it reveals a new conspiracy case against several people who took part in that domestic terrorist attack at the Capitol on January 6th. The initial case involved one man, a 39-year-old named Daniel Rodriguez. He's from Southern California. He was indicted all the way back in March. Rodriguez is the man who has admitted to tasing Officer Michael Fanone. That, of course, led to Fanone becoming unconscious, and then he later suffered a heart attack. He ended up in the hospital. And the superseding indictment lays out a case for conspiracy against Rodriguez, a man named Edward Badalian, who I just profiled in a video short this week, and then one other unnamed defendant. That person, the unnamed defendant, either hasn't been arrested yet, or perhaps they're, getting some sort of sweetheart deal, some plea deal in exchange for his cooperation. But here's where things are for the three of these men and what they're accused of doing and why Rodriguez has by far the most to worry about. The indictment lists numerous very serious crimes, though the three defendants are not all charged with all of the crimes listed, with the exception, I believe, of Rodriguez. So, the other two have varying crimes, but not as many. The crimes that they list include conspiracy, obstructing an official proceeding, aiding and abetting in that crime, tampering with documents or proceedings, civil disorder, assaulting officers with a dangerous weapon, theft of government property, and entering a restricted building or grounds. So here's the deal and what they say that each of these defendants did before, during, and even after January 6th. Prosecutors say that in November of 2020, Rodriguez and Badalian created a group chat on the messaging app called Telegram. And it was called Patriots 45 MAGA Gang. And prosecutors say that they used that group and the chat to basically discuss the so-called fraudulent election results, the so-called stolen election. The FBI also, though, alleges that the men used that group to promote the use of violence against groups and people who believed that the 2020 election was legitimate. They also said that they advocated violence against anyone that they, in the group, perceived as holding liberal or communist ideologies. And they proposed violence or supported violence against especially those who held power in government. So in December of 2020, the FBI says that Rodriguez and Badalian posted about attending the event in DC. They shared screenshots of various forms. One was of Trump's tweet telling everybody about the, quote, wild protest on January 6th. And on December 21st, Badalian allegedly posted the following in this Telegram group. He wrote, quote, "We need to violently remove traitors, and if they are in key positions, rapidly replace them with able-bodied patriots." Then the following day, Badalian wrote, quote, "He," meaning Trump, "has to let it sit on his desk until Jan 3rd / veto. By the time Mitch can do the override, we will be there / then he can invoke, and patriots will be at the ready." Then on December 23rd, Rodriguez wrote in the chat group, quote, "We got to go handle this shit in DC so the crooked politicians don't have an army of thugs threatening violence to back their malevolent cabal." Then a few days later, the FBI says that Badalian posted a US map showing various rally points, is what they called it, on the eastern side of the country. And the document was called MAGA Cavalry. And Badalian wrote that it was meant to, quote, connect patriot caravans to stop the steal in DC. Then a few days after that, on December 29th, Rodriguez posted in the group and he said, quote, Congress can hang. I'll do it. Please let us get these people, dear God. Keep that in mind. In addition, someone who testified before the grand jury said that Rodriguez had told him or her that he, meaning Rodriguez, would, quote, assassinate Joe Biden if he got the chance. And this person also claims that Rodriguez said that he would, quote, rather die than live under a Biden administration. And according to this unnamed person, Rodriguez made those statements sometime between December 31st and January 4th. Then on January 2nd, Badalian posted in the group to confirm that he had, quote, respirators, masks, snow goggles, knee pads, and baseball helmets for everyone in the group. And he encouraged them to go and obtain more snow goggles. He also went and rented a vehicle along with another person of the group for the trip specifically. And they all supposedly left California on January 3rd, and then they joined up with a caravan in Louisville, Kentucky. That same day, Badalian posted in the group chat saying, quote, we don't want to fight Antifa, LOL. We want to arrest traitors. And he and others in the group established a type of radio communication with each other. They used a cell phone app for that, which is odd because they also allegedly brought walkie-talkies with them. But my thought was, maybe they wanted to have a backup in case their cell phones died. I don't know. But anyway, also on January 5th, so remember, one day before the attack, Rodriguez posted in the Telegram chat and he said, quote, there will be blood. Welcome to the revolution. Again, keep all of these statements by Rodriguez in mind for later in this segment. You're going to be laughing your ass off by the end of this. So the unnamed person now comes into the picture. According to the indictment, the unnamed person, they allegedly texted someone listed only as person 2. And they asked that person if they wanted to, quote, connect with us and roll in force. He then sent another text to the same person on January 6th saying, quote, we're at the Capitol steps. It's going off. The people are breaking down the barriers. The battle has begun. Prosecutors then say that Rodriguez and this unnamed defendant joined others in the lower West Terrace Tunnel and participated in that horrific violence that we saw against the officers who were trying to block their entry into the Capitol. They say that Rodriguez specifically also took part in that heave-ho effort, in which, you guys have probably seen by now. It was pretty horrific. It caused a lot of injury and pain. That was where, these terrorists were literally yelling out heave ho and pushing in unison on the officers and crushing many of them. In addition to that, prosecutors allege that Rodriguez threw a flagpole at a line of officers that were guarding a doorway, and he also sprayed them with a fire extinguisher. Again, keep all of this in mind, all of his words, all of his actions. This is all Rodriguez. The indictment then goes on to say that Rodriguez received an electroshock weapon from someone, so a taser. He got that from someone in the tunnel, but over that same period of time. So while this is going on, Rodriguez is pushing on the cops. He's helping with that heave-ho effort. He's getting this taser. Over that same period of time, the unnamed defendant allegedly was refusing to leave the tunnel. There was an officer with the initials NI, and apparently he was trying to get the unnamed defendant out of the tunnel. He resisted that officer, they say, for over 20 minutes. Now, during that scuffle or battle, whatever it was, the unnamed defendant told the officers, was yelling at them, quote, "Liberty or death, gentlemen." These guys are such cosplaying douchebags, I swear. Anyway, he also apparently was yelling at other Trump terrorists. He was saying, quote, "Hold the line, don't surrender, fight for Trump and push forward, patriots." He said at one point, "If you're going to die, it best be on Capitol Hill." Then right around this same time, all of this is going on. That's when Officer Michael Fanone was grabbed and pulled into the crowd by one of Trump's other terrorists. Well, that's when Rodriguez tased him. He actually tased him twice in the back of the neck. Like I said, Fanone became unconscious. He suffered a heart attack as a result. And then approximately 30 minutes after Rodriguez tased him, all three of these men, Rodriguez, Badalian, and the unnamed defendant, all climbed through a broken Capitol window. So other people were breaking the windows. They climbed through one of them. They got into Senate room ST2M. Now that's the room where there was videos out there, you can probably still find them, where a bunch of Trump's terrorists were in that room turning furniture over. They were breaking furniture into pieces. They were breaking off table legs and chair legs to be used as weapons. Again, that was all on video. So then the three of them, they say, left that Senate office and they made their way into a second Senate office where Rodriguez tried to break another window. They said that he was hitting a window with a flagpole repeatedly. I'm assuming it belonged to someone else because up until that point in the affidavit, it didn't say that he personally was carrying a flagpole. Around that same time, the other unnamed defendant tried to help other terrorists break into a third Senate office. He was kicking the door repeatedly. He apparently was unsuccessful, but someone else in the crowd was able to pick the lock. And then once they got inside that office, the unnamed defendant told everyone to look for intel. And Rodriguez then joined them. He joined the group in that third office. And then he and the unnamed defendant allegedly were going through the office. They were opening up bags. They were rifling through paperwork that was left on the desk. And then they found a bag that contained emergency escape hoods, which are very expensive from what I'm understanding. And they stole them. So they were seen on camera. The unnamed defendant, I believe, had two of them that he was seen with, and then Rodriguez had one. Now, around 4 p.m. that day, Rodriguez posted in the Telegram group chat, and he wrote, quote, "OMG, I did so much fucking shit, RN, and got away. Tell you later." So RN means right now, for people who don't know. He also then wrote in the group chat, quote, "Tased the fuck out of the blue." And tased, he wrote with, I believe it was like 5 Z's. So, I mean, this guy was totally excited. He was bragging. He thought that what he did obviously was really great, right? Tased the fuck out of the blue, right? So much for Blue Lives Matter. So following January 6th, their crimes continued. Prosecutors allege that all three of these defendants tried to hide their actions. They tried to hide their identities. First, they say that the unnamed defendant had a flight home to California. He canceled that on January 7th. So the day after the attack, canceled his flight, and then he drove home with Rodriguez and Badalian. Well, during that cross-country trip, Badalian apparently called in to the InfoWars show called War Room. It's a call-in show. InfoWars, of course, is the creation of lunatic Alex Jones, the guy who sees crisis actors everywhere he goes, except for, I guess, at the Capitol. But he used the name of Turbo. So he didn't use his real name while he was doing this call. And while he was being interviewed on the show, viewers were being shown video footage of his actions that day, of what he did at the Capitol. One thing that they chose to show was Badalian physically attacking another person at the Capitol. So not an officer, but another person in the crowd. Badalian explained to the InfoWars viewers that he thought this was a member of Antifa and they were just disguised as a Trump supporter. So that's why he was beating this person up, which there's no evidence to show that anybody there was actually affiliated with Antifa. So, MAGA on MAGA violence, I guess. Gotta love it, idiots. Anywho, person one, who's named in this indictment, but hasn't been charged apparently, actually was the person who provided the video footage to InfoWars. And he was in the car with everyone headed back to California. So this was somebody who traveled to DC with them. He was also interviewed that day. And when he was being interviewed, he accidentally referred to Badalian as Ed. So instead of using his alias of Turbo, he called him Ed. Yikes, right? Don't you just hate it when you partner with someone who's stupid? You're like, they should have known better than to say that or do that. Anyway, so they all made it home. They all get home to California. And a few days after the Capitol attack on January 10th, Rodriguez contacts person one. This is the person who has the footage, right? And he asks if he and Badalian and the unnamed defendant could go pay this guy a visit. I would be nervous. Honestly, if I've seen what these people did at the Capitol, I would be a little nervous, but he said yes. They all apparently got together that same day. And when these three men arrived at person one's home, the unnamed defendant motioned to person one to not speak out loud. And he was apparently walking around person one's home and unplugging his Amazon Alexa devices. So he then goes and gets a notebook and he writes in it, "I want to help you delete everything and to transfer the files to a secure hard drive." So clearly doesn't want anyone to hear what they're saying, is afraid the government is using Amazon Alexa to spy on them. And then he tells him, let's get rid of the evidence. And Badalian told person one that I don't want you saying my name anymore. When if you talk about what took place at the Capitol, I don't want you mentioning my name. So obviously, what he did on the Alex Jones show was not kosher with this guy. Then sometime between January 10th and the 19th, the unnamed defendant went to person one's home again. He went there a second time and he asked him, will you go to Best Buy with me to purchase a hard drive so we can download all of the photos and videos? Now, according to the FBI, person one did not go buy the hard drive. He did not delete any of the evidence. So maybe that's why he hasn't been charged yet. I don't know. They didn't say. But as I mentioned in the beginning, these guys are in a lot of trouble, especially Rodriguez. And remember how I kept telling you throughout this, keep in mind his words, keep in mind what he did for a good laugh. Okay, well, here's why. Rodriguez is the man. Remember, he's the one who tasered Officer Fanone. He's also the man who literally cried in front of investigators, called himself a piece of shit and an asshole for using violence against Officer Fanone. There was a recently released interrogation video. You may or may not have seen it. That was Rodriguez. He blamed himself. He blamed Antifa. He blamed BLM, Donald Trump. He blamed everybody for his actions, not just on January 6th, but leading up to January 6th. Rodriguez, in this interrogation video, told investigators, quote, "The preparations were for BLM and Antifa. We thought that they were going to go, we thought we were going to hit it like a civil war. There was going to be a big battle. this is what I thought. I thought that there was going to be fighting for some reason in different cities. And I thought that the main fight, the main battle was going to be in DC because Trump called everyone there. I mean, what cities, what battles did this guy think were going to be fought in different cities? And where were they? And let me remind you again of all of what he said before he got caught. He said, and I quote, "We got to go handle this shit in DC so the crooked politicians don't have an army of thugs threatening violence to back their malevolent cabal ways." He also said, quote, "Congress can hang. I'll do it. Please let us get these people, dear God." He said, quote, "There will be blood. Welcome to the revolution." That was the day before. He also said he would assassinate Biden if he got the chance. He said, "Oh my God, I did so much fucking shit right now and got away. Tell you later. Tased the fuck out of the blue." What was that about Antifa and BLM? He didn't say a word about Antifa or BLM prior to January 6th. And his interrogation went on for quite a while, so there's a lot to break down. But he told the investigators that he thought that they were going to be able to occupy the Capitol for a couple of days. He said he thought they were going to be in there for a couple of days, and he broke down in tears and apologized, but only after trying to use the most absurd and hysterical excuse I think I've heard so far. But no, I know for a fact this is the most absurd excuse. Rodriguez actually tried to sell the idea that he tasered Officer Fanone to protect him. He said, quote, "I mean, that sounds stupid. I don't know if I tasered him to protect him, but maybe just to, like, so he wouldn't struggle and get hurt, maybe, if they're going to beat him up or injury him, or like, I don't know if they're going to, I don't know what was going to happen to him." And honestly, I didn't think very much about it when I did it. I was like, oh my God, what did I just do? And I got out of there. I left. I did it and I left. No, guy, you didn't. You broke into Senate offices after you did that. You stole things. And then after you had a few hours to think about what you did, you bragged about tasing the blue and how you got away with it, or so you thought. Take a look at the portion of his interrogation video where I think it really finally hits him, where reality finally sinks in for this idiot.
I thought we were doing the right thing. I thought we were just, I had no plans of what was going to happen. I didn't know what was going to happen. Okay, what do you want me to tell you? That I tased him? Yes.
Explain
am I a piece of yes.
Why did you tase him?
I don't know. I'm a piece of I'm sorry. I don't know. He's a human being with children, and he's not a bad guy. He sounds like he's just doing his job, and I'm an asshole.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing how quickly these tough guys saying that they're willing to assassinate someone and there's going to be blood and blah, blah, blah. Oh, they're all of a sudden, they become these weeping, walking testicles when they get caught. Now, this guy's attorneys are trying to get this interrogation video and confession thrown out because they claim he wasn't read his Miranda rights. So we'll see what happens. I just hope that this isn't another case of only a few years in prison, because this appeared to be planned to some degree. He clearly bragged about it. He clearly said, there will be blood. This is a revolution. I mean, how much more blatant can it get? And then he had no remorse, zero remorse until he was in cuffs. I have no sympathy for this person. And he's old enough to know better. You know, this is not one of the teenagers. This is not one of the, 20-something-year-olds that did this. This is a man of almost 40 years old. If you don't know right from wrong at that point, you're never going to know right from wrong. I'm sorry. But yeah, this is a very interesting case. So I will keep you guys informed. I'll let you know as I hear more. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Take care. I'll talk with you soon.